Welcome to Cheater Confessions. Let's get started with today's story. I knew Emily was going to Las Vegas before she told me. She had been talking about the trip for weeks, but every time I asked about it, she gave me a different version. 3 nights, 4 nights, just the girls. Then she mentioned that one of them had invited some coworkers. I finally asked her about it while we were having breakfast. So, who exactly is going? Emily looked up from her coffee. I told you, the girls. That isn't what I asked. She put the cup down. Why are you interrogating me? I'm asking a simple question. She leaned back in her chair. You've been acting strange about this trip. I've been acting like a married man who wants to know what his wife is doing in Vegas for 3 nights. She shook her head. I'm not asking you for permission, Logan. And I'm not giving you permission. You're an adult. Do what you want. That seemed to irritate her more. Then stop making me feel guilty about going. I wouldn't have to if you were being straight with me. She stared at me for a moment. Then she smiled without any warmth. Maybe I just need to remember who I was before marriage. I held her gaze. Then remember you have a family waiting when you come back. She didn't answer. 3 days later, Emily left for Las Vegas. I stayed home with our son, Mason. I handled school, dinner, homework, and bedtime. I didn't call her every hour. I didn't chase her for updates. She said she'd be home Sunday afternoon. She wasn't. She walked through the front door Monday morning with sunglasses still on. Flight problem? I asked. Changed plans. You couldn't call? My phone was dead. I looked at her suitcase. Then something slipped from the side pocket and landed on the floor. A hotel key card. Emily reacted before I could even bend down. She picked it up quickly. What hotel is that? Nothing. Emily. She put the card into her purse. I told you. Nothing happened. I hadn't accused her of anything. That was when I knew something had. For the next few days, I said nothing about the key card. Emily seemed relieved by that. She went back to her routine, but something had changed. Her phone was always face down now. If someone called while I was nearby, she would get up and leave the room. One evening, I walked into the kitchen and caught her smiling at her screen. She looked up. What? Who are you talking to? No one. You were smiling. It's a friend. Which friend? She locked the phone. Why does it matter? Because you didn't act like this before Vegas. Her expression hardened. You're still doing this? Doing what? Looking for something wrong. I don't have to look very hard. She grabbed her phone and walked away. I let her go. A month after she returned from Vegas, Emily came into the bedroom while I was getting ready for work. I need to tell you something. I turned around. What? She took a breath. I'm pregnant. I didn't answer immediately. We hadn't planned another child. Mason was already in school, and neither of us had talked about starting over with a baby. How far along? About 4 weeks. I looked at her. 4? Yes. I did the math in my head. Then I looked at the calendar on the wall. The dates didn't fit. I knew exactly when Emily and I had been together before her trip. I knew when she left for Vegas. I knew when she came back. The timing pointed directly at those 3 nights. Emily, are you sure I'm the father? Her face changed instantly. Excuse me? You heard me. You're seriously asking me that? Yes? She stepped closer. After everything we've been through, you think I'd do something like that? I think your story changed before you came home. That doesn't answer my question. No, it answers mine. She folded her arms. It's your baby, Logan. Look at me and say it. She stared at me. It is your baby. But she said it too quickly. Then her phone buzzed on the dresser. She grabbed it before I could see the screen. I watched her walk into the bathroom and close the door. A minute later, she came back out. Who was it? Work. At night? She didn't answer. I picked up my jacket. I'm going to find out. Her eyes narrowed. Find out what? The truth. I walked out before she could stop me. That night, I made one decision. I wasn't going to accuse my wife again. I was going to prove what happened in Vegas. The next morning, I called James. We had known each other for years. He worked in hotel security consulting and had contacts in several properties around Las Vegas. More importantly, James didn't make assumptions. He dealt with records, names, and facts. We met for coffee before work. I put a piece of paper on the table. Emily stayed in Vegas from Thursday to Sunday, I said. She told me she was staying at the Belmont. James looked at the name. And? I found a key card from another hotel in her purse. He looked up. You think she stayed somewhere else? I don't think. I want to know. I gave him the approximate dates. Check what you can legally access. Reservations, public records, anything connected to the hotel. I also want to know if another man was involved. James studied my face. You're sure you want this? I already made the decision. He nodded. Give me 2 days. I went home and acted like nothing had changed. Emily noticed. You're quiet. I'm working. You're not usually this quiet. Maybe I'm tired. She watched me carefully. That afternoon, I saw her leave the house and make a phone call from the driveway. She didn't notice me standing near the window. I told you, Logan doesn't know anything, she said. I stepped outside. She turned around so quickly that she almost dropped the phone. The call ended. Who was that? Why were you listening? I heard my name. She shook her head. It was nothing. That's becoming your favorite word. She walked past me. I don't want another argument. Neither do I. She stopped. What does that mean? It means I'm done arguing. 2 days later, James called. I met him at his office. He slid a folder across the desk. She didn't stay at the Belmont. I opened it. Her actual reservation was at the Silver Crown Hotel, almost 3 miles away. My jaw tightened. James continued. There's more. On Friday night, Emily's key was used to access the 32nd floor. Her room was there? No, her room was on the 24th floor. I looked at him. Who was on 32? James pulled out another document. A private event. One of the guests was a man named Grant Sullivan. I recognized the name immediately. Grant had worked with Emily 2 years earlier. Then James showed me a photograph from the hotel's event records. Emily was standing beside Grant, and her hand was on his arm. James looked at me. She left the event with him at 12:18 a.m. I closed the folder. That's enough. No, James said. You haven't seen the last page. He pushed it toward me. Grant's room was on the same floor, and the hotel records showed Emily didn't return to her room until 6:41 the next morning. I went home that evening and waited for Emily. She walked through the door around 7, dropped her purse on the chair, and looked at me. You're home early. I need to talk to you. Her expression changed. About what? Vegas. She stood still. I thought we were done with this. We're not even close. She crossed her arms. What are you accusing me of now? I'm not accusing you. I'm telling you what I know. I put the hotel photograph on the table. Emily looked at it. Her face went pale. Where did you get that? That doesn't matter. She picked it up. Logan, I can explain. Then explain. She put the photograph down. It was a group event. Grant was there. Everyone was drinking. You told me you barely knew anyone there. I didn't think it mattered. You were gone from your room for more than 6 hours. She said nothing. You were on the 32nd floor with Grant Sullivan. Her eyes filled with anger. You had someone investigate me? Yes. You had no right. I had every right to find out why my wife came home from Vegas pregnant. She looked away. It wasn't what you think. Then tell me what it was. She stayed silent. I stepped closer. Did you sleep with him? No. I waited. Emily? She closed her eyes. I don't remember everything. That isn't an answer. I was drunk. That isn't an answer either. She looked at me. Yes. The word was quiet, but it was enough. I nodded once. How many times? Once. Where? She hesitated. The hotel. Your room. No. His room? She nodded. I took a breath. Was he the only man? Yes. Did you know him before Vegas? She looked down. We worked together before. So you knew exactly who he was. I didn't plan it. You still went upstairs with him. She started crying. It was a mistake. No, getting drunk was a mistake. Lying to me afterward was a choice. Logan, please. I didn't raise my voice. You told me that baby was mine. I thought it was. You knew the dates. I was scared. And now? She looked at me. Now I'm scared you're going to leave. I held her gaze. I haven't decided anything yet. Her face softened. I continued. But we're getting a DNA test. She froze. Do we really need that? Yes. What if the baby is yours? Then I'll deal with that. And if it isn't? I picked up the photograph. Then there won't be a marriage left to save. The next morning, I met with a divorce attorney named Hannah Pierce. I told her everything. The Vegas trip, the hotel records, Grant, Emily's admission, the pregnancy. Hannah listened without interrupting. When I finished, she asked, Do you have the hotel records? Yes. The photograph? Yes. And did Emily admit the affair? She admitted sleeping with Grant once. Hannah nodded. Then don't threaten anything. Don't make decisions based on anger. Protect yourself and your son, document everything, and let the DNA test settle the paternity question. I already want the test. Good. Get it done properly. That afternoon, I arranged it. Emily came with me. She barely spoke during the appointment. When we got back into the car, she finally said, "Are you really going to throw away our marriage over one night?" I started the engine. "You're still calling it one night." Because that's what it was. "No, the affair was one night. The lying lasted weeks." She looked out the window. "I was afraid. You should have been honest. I thought you'd forgive me." I looked at her. "You made that decision for both of us." She said nothing after that. The results took several days. During that time, I changed nothing about my routine. I went to work, took Mason to school, made dinner, and kept the house running. Emily seemed to realize that I wasn't waiting around for her to decide what happened next. Then Hannah called. "Logan, the results are in." I already knew from her tone. "I'm not the father." "No, the probability of paternity is excluded." I thanked her and ended the call. When I got home, Emily was sitting at the kitchen table. She stood immediately. "Well?" I looked directly at her. "The baby isn't mine." She closed her eyes. For several seconds, neither of us spoke. Then she whispered, "I'm sorry." I pulled a folder from my bag and placed it on the table. She looked at it. "What is that?" "Divorce papers." Her head snapped up. "You already filed?" "Yes." "Logan, please, don't do this." "I told you what would happen. You can't end our marriage like this." I shook my head. "You ended it in Vegas. I'm just making it official." She started crying. "I'll do anything." I stood up. "No, you should have thought about that before you went upstairs with him." Emily didn't leave that night. She spent hours trying to change my mind. She followed me into the hallway. "Logan, please, just give me one chance." "You had one. I made one terrible decision." "You made several." She stopped. "What do you mean?" "You slept with Grant. You lied about where you stayed. You lied about the baby. Then you lied again when I asked you directly." She wiped her face. "I was terrified. And I was supposed to carry that for you?" "No." "Then stop asking me to." The next morning, Emily moved into her sister's apartment. I didn't fight her over belongings. I packed what was hers, left everything else alone, and made sure Mason's routine stayed unchanged. The divorce process was surprisingly straightforward. Hannah handled the paperwork. The DNA results removed the biggest question, and Emily didn't have much ground to challenge the facts. Then another problem appeared. Grant didn't want anything to do with Emily. He acknowledged that the baby was his, but he refused to move in with her or start a relationship. Emily called me after speaking with him. He said he wants to be involved with the baby, but not with me. I was silent. He was supposed to help me. "That's between you and Grant." "You don't care?" "No." There was a long pause. "You really don't?" "You made that decision when you chose him." She hung up. A few weeks later, Emily asked me to meet her. I agreed. We met at a quiet restaurant near the courthouse. She looked exhausted. "I know you're angry." I was. "And now?" "Now I'm done." She lowered her eyes. "I destroyed everything. You made choices. I want to fix them. You can't." "Why not?" "Because fixing something means putting it back together. I'm not putting this marriage back together." She looked at me for several seconds. "Do you still love me?" I thought about the question. I loved the woman I married. Her eyes filled with tears. "And me? I don't know you anymore." She nodded slowly. Then she asked the question I knew was coming. "Is there anything I can do to stop the divorce?" "No." "You're really going through with it?" "Yes." She looked down at the table. For once, she didn't argue. She simply nodded. And that was the moment I knew she finally understood. This wasn't a fight anymore. It was over. The divorce was finalized 7 months after Emily returned from Las Vegas. There was no dramatic courtroom scene, no shouting, no last-minute confession, just signatures, paperwork, and a judge making the decision official. Emily kept trying to contact me afterward. At first, it was about practical things. Then the calls became personal. One evening, my phone rang while I was putting Mason to bed. It was Emily. I answered. "What's wrong?" "I need to see you." "About Mason?" "No, about us." "There is no us." "Please, Logan." I looked through the doorway at Mason, who was putting his toys away. Give me 10 minutes. We met outside a coffee shop near my office. Emily was already waiting. She stood when I approached. "You look good," she said. "I've been sleeping better." She looked down. "I deserve that. You asked to meet. Say what you came to say." She took a breath. "I made the worst decision of my life. I know. I wish I could go back to that night. You can't. I know." She looked at me. "Grant isn't with me. He barely calls unless it's about the baby." I said nothing. He told me he never wanted a relationship with me. He said Vegas was just Vegas. That was the first time I saw real anger in her face. Not anger at me, anger at the man she had chosen. "I thought he cared about me," she said. "You thought a lot of things." She swallowed. "I lost my marriage for someone who didn't even want me. You didn't lose your marriage because of Grant." She looked confused. "Then why?" "Because you chose to betray it." She looked away. "I want your forgiveness." I leaned back. "You can have it." Her eyes lifted. "Really?" "I can forgive you." Her face softened. "Does that mean there's still a chance?" "No." The softness disappeared. "Then what does forgiveness mean?" "It means I don't need to hate you anymore." She stared at me. "You really don't want me back?" "No." "Not even a little?" "No." She lowered her head. "I thought if I apologized enough, you'd remember everything we had." "I remember." "Then how can you walk away?" "Because remembering isn't the same as wanting it back." She sat quietly. Then she asked, "Are you happy?" I looked at her. "Yes." That answer hurt her more than anything else I could have said. I stood. "Take care of yourself, Emily." She nodded. This time, she didn't ask me to stay. I walked away and didn't look back. 6 months later, my life looked nothing like it had before Vegas. Mason had settled into a routine again. School, soccer, homework, dinner, and normal weekends at home. The house was quiet, but it was a good kind of quiet. I had also started seeing someone. Her name was Claire Bennett. I didn't rush anything with her. She knew I had been through a divorce, and I told her the truth from the beginning. "I don't want to pretend my past didn't happen." "You don't have to," she said. That was enough. Emily still had occasional problems. Grant was involved with his child, but he kept his distance from her. She had moved into a small apartment and was working to rebuild her life. I didn't follow her situation. I had no reason to. Then, one afternoon, James called me. "I heard something you should know." "What?" "Emily asked about you." I laughed once. "What did she say?" "She wanted to know if you're seeing someone." I looked across the kitchen at Mason's backpack. "Why?" "Probably because she finally realized you're not waiting." I didn't answer. A week later, Emily sent me one final message. She asked whether I could meet her. I almost ignored it. Instead, I agreed to one last conversation. We met at the same coffee shop. She looked calmer this time. "I won't keep you long," she said. "Good." She nodded. "I wanted to thank you." "For what?" "For not destroying me." I frowned. "I never wanted to destroy you." "You could have." "I didn't need revenge." She looked down at her hands. "I finally understand what happened." I waited. "I went to Vegas thinking I needed freedom. I thought marriage had taken something from me." She looked at me. "But I was the one who threw something away." I said nothing. She continued. "You told me before I left that I had a family waiting when I came home." "I remember." "I didn't understand what that meant." She swallowed. "Now I do." There was nothing left for me to say. I stood. Emily looked up. "Logan?" "Yes?" "Do you forgive me?" I nodded. "I do." She smiled sadly. "Thank you. But forgiveness doesn't mean I come back." Her smile disappeared. "I know." I walked outside. That night, I sat at the kitchen table helping Mason with his homework. Claire was making dinner, and Mason was arguing with me about an answer he was sure was correct. I laughed. For a moment, I thought about the night Emily left for Vegas. She had said she wanted to remember who she was. She got her wish, and so did I. She discovered who she had become. I discovered who I was without her, and I realized I hadn't lost my life in Vegas. I had only lost the part of it that was never going to last. Thank you for watching.